Hi, YouTube. Sorry about the false start on YouTube. I was signed into the Stratosphere Studio channel, and it streams to whatever channel I was last signed in on, so I had to restart that YouTube stream. Hope everybody's doing well. Um, Kind of a quiet night for me here, I guess. The uh, I I got back from taking Bean to his last trip to the vet, and I walked in the house, and we had two cats left, and one of them is named Spike. And I walked in the house, and the second I walked in, he went, and so got another sick cat who is got either some kind of a upper respiratory infection or maybe just having a problem with the hairball. He's a young guy, and I call him Spaceman Spike because he's an astronaut. He's a space kitty, and so that's been a little rough on the gang. But other than that, holding in there, hanging in there. So I hope everybody's doing well here. Let me see what we got here. Oh, thank you, Marusha. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, it's all right. And I miss Bean, and and now Spike is just be nice to have a day when I wasn't on the line side on my side on the floor talking to my cats. But he's a real young healthy cat. He'll be fine. I just don't really know what it is. He's just given him. We got him some antibiotic shot yesterday at the vet, and maybe it was an upper respiratory infection. So we'll see. But anyway, enough of that cheery news. Nothing really to report. I've been editing the first of the shows that I did for Mike. We did 7 shows with him about 4 or 5 days after we shot the story mechanic shows, and I get a chance to edit those shows for Mike Rowe, which is great because it's a little extra income, and it's fun, and I forgot how it's just I did before I started the political commentary work. I did 5 years on Sunday Morning Shootout, and then before that I'd cut all kinds of interviews, and just getting to be second nature. So Astroseia says this is TSL or supposed to be a TSS? It's supposed to be a TSS. Um, I just don't have my homework done. My cat ate my homework. Um, so any idea when the unedited version will be posted to the member site? Yes, that's a great point. Probably Roadrunner when I get the second set of storyline stuff out. I've got one more Mike Rowe segment to show you guys from the storytelling beat, and then I've got a number that I have to edit that are on the common man archetype and the value of hard work and that sort of thing. So, oh, does it say TSL? I'm sorry about that. I can't change that now. I can go back and change it after it's done. Um, so yeah, that's about it. I think maybe what I'll do is just go ahead and roll that, and we'll get into questions. It's been a little rough on the lack of sleep lately for me, but I was hoping to have some topics lined up. I did see uh, it's relatively dated, but there's a game out there called Cyberpunk 77, and there's a shader for Cyberpunk 77 that makes the human characters look very good, but makes the streets and the vehicles photorealistic. Just photorealistic. It's phenomenal. Um, I may actually download that. In fact, I probably will. That'll at least give me something like an excuse. I'll download it while we're checking out the Mike Rowe episode. So just one more to do. I like. Oh, Dave Dave Big Boutte is mathematics wizard. He says today's 5-5. He says it's 5-5-25. How mathematical? Haven't seen that since 4-4-16. See, those with the very high Q can figure out what that sequence is, and they know that the next time we see that thing will be the 6th of June in 2036. See, the big brain. Did you hear about that? Lord Bio says, did you hear about the new NASA moon mission? They're going to the moon to make amends with the moon men. It's called Apollo G. Oh, okay. There was an Apollo G mission. They had all of the Apollo missions were broken down into lettered plans. We covered that in the Apollo 11 what we saw. But there was an Apollo G mission. I never made the connection before. Mercy Dark says 2025 is also 45 squared, 45 being the secret number in Sudoku that is the sum of the digits in each row, column, and box. Well, now, aren't we clever today? Aren't we clever today? All right, here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up the Mike Rowe thing, and then I'll grab just a quick download for that Cyberpunk 77, just so you can see what game engines are doing at 40, 50 frames a second now, and it's simply unbelievable. All right, so YouTube, I'm going to start with you, and again, since I have to get to them one at a time, you'll probably see this loop just a little bit, but I'll get back to to switch it over as soon as I possibly can. But this is the last of the storytelling beats, number 6 of the storytelling beats with Mike Rowe. So we'll start you, and then we'll get it going on Twitch, and that'll give me time to download this Cyberpunk 77 thing, I think. Okay, ready? Here we go. Hope you like it. And for YouTube, here we go. And action.
I heard something the other day from Tarantino, of all people, that really struck me. He was talking about why make movies, and he was being pushed because some people are saying we're living in the golden age of TV. Maybe we are. Certainly Yellowstone and everything that's come out, and God, Breaking Bad and The Sopranos,
Sure.
Extraordinary stuff. But his point was, I watched Yellowstone, all of it. I watched all 4 seasons. Then I watched some 1883 or whatever that was, and in the end, I went for a ride, and I became invested in the fate of many of these characters. But I can't really tell you what happened.
Yes.
And it's not that I didn't enjoy it while I was watching it. It's just that it now lives in my memory as a kind of smeared soap opera.
Yep.
Right? As opposed to Fort Apache, Red River. I mean, go down the list of the Stagecoach, right?
Yep.
Like those movies, they happen and they become, as what's his name said in The Matrix, a splinter in your mind. They live.
And it's a manageable time frame for human consciousness to get its mind around. 2 hours start, middle, and end, and it's like, okay, I can't process much more than they can't. I mean, if you're binge watching 5 seasons of something, you're watching 30 hours. You just simply can't. You just can't put those kind of arcs in. It's too much.
It's a fire hose. But let me just blow your mind and take the audience dynamic to the next and last level. Because I'd never experienced anything like this in my life. I'm in the woods. I'm at the Grove. I'm watching the Grove play. I'm seeing something. I wouldn't call it transcendent like Les Mis was, but it's really good. And it's shockingly good, knowing that it's not going to be performed again. I'm just sitting there. It's like all the work that went into the orchestra, all the rehearsal. And it's happening in front of an audience of maybe 300 guys out in the woods. And then when it was over, they took the libretto and the script and they threw it in the fire.
That's what makes it memorable,
And it was
right?
what it did was it elevate the only people who can talk rationally about that moment were the people who were there. And that number was small. So, how do you think about the impact of storytelling through broadcasting, podcasting, narrowcasting? What's the role of the audience? How special would it have been to been in a club when Lenny Bruce was trying out his early stuff? You'd have been there with 15 other people. Nobody had a cell phone. Nobody was
Yeah,
sharing it. It was just you guys, you know. And so I worry and wonder a lot about, what is the role of how shall the audience feel today in the wake in a world where everybody's getting their 5 minutes and everybody's telling their own stories in their own little space, you know, what it
there's no communal campfire anymore.
that that's it.
No, I mean, the thing I remember about Sunday nights was, you had to watch Hee Haw, which I just hated because it's after 60 minutes, and and nobody's watching. We don't have any shared common culture anymore. One of the things that I used to do for speaking events was when I was trying to explain to people how Hollywood and the pop culture can program people, hypnotize people. I would say, I can prove to you that you've been hypnotized because I will start a sentence and you will finish it for me. Okay, ready? Here we go. Look up in the sky, it's a bird. And the older people would say it's a plane. And then I could say, just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip. And they would do it. And then you could do the start to Family Guy, and it all just gets pumped into your head there. And we had all these things in common, but you're right. It's not even that you watch the same shows. You have to watch them at the same time.
That's it.
That's
That's it. Yeah. Look, time, geography matters. Timing matters.
and that's why an audience is an audience, by the way, because an audience is more than one person generally, right? You have a large. It is a communal social experience. I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in the theater, and when Indiana Jones pulled out that pistol and shot that guy dead, people leapt out of their chairs.
Yeah.
They just leapt out of their chairs.
I learned how to run a projector on that movie for United
Did you?
Artists. Yeah. Yeah. Early 80s. I was right there working in one of the first multiplexes at the Golden Ring Mall in Baltimore, Maryland. And I was screaming for glee up in the projection booth.
Oh,
Like, oh my God, what a
it's the
shared moment.
greatest moment ever.
Back to music real quick and Hee Haw, of all things. I watched Hee Haw too. And I remember Minnie Pearl. I remember these moments.
Junior samples.
Oh, of course. But what I really remember today and what your listeners ought to dive into just for grins is the straight up genius of Roy Clark.
Roy. Yep.
My God. So the music outlasted all of it. He and Buck Owens, just for grins, would just absolutely tear the ass out of it, man. They were so, I was too young to appreciate how good they were. But when I watch guys today like Roy Clark play the banjo, and Glenn Campbell too, by the way, who I just didn't appreciate. Those guys are telling stories with their instruments just as surely as we're trying to do it with our voices. Tommy Emmanuel playing classical gas on an acoustic. I watched it the other day and didn't even hesitate to watch it 2 more times back to back. I couldn't
And
get enough of it.
the fun thing about watching Roy Clark playing a banjo is that you can tell that Roy Clark knows how good Roy Clark is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's just got that tiny, tiny little grin.
yeah. He knows.
And we're back. We're back. Yes, we're back. Okay. Yeah. So that was the last of the storytelling beats. Fun talking about that, and boy, I do remember those days when there was, you really had your choice of 3 things that you could watch on TV. You had a choice of driving either a Ford, a Chevy, or or a Chrysler, and everybody watched the stuff together. Remember, was it water cooler TV, or was it Thursday night on NBC, that was just just this killer lineup, and yeah, those days are gone. I mean, it really is kind of must see TV. It really is the kind of first time in history that a culture hasn't had a communal campfire where we don't all hear the same stories at the same time. Everybody gets their own little pocket universe of influences and exposures, and it's just kind of tough. I mean, there's still obviously a bunch of people who are watching the same streaming shows, but there's scores of those now, and it's not like you could go to work on a Friday morning and everybody talk about what happened on Cheers or Friends or Hill Street Blues, or we run on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Twitch we do a walk-in, roll-in for the show, and I put together one that was 70s and 80s TV shows, and it was Hawaii Five-0 and Mission Impossible, and Mannix and Wild Wild West, and Cheers, Laverne and Shirley, and on one level, the new entertainment is just so much better, but nobody sits around and gets to watch it together. Oh, it's very nice of you. Thank you. Roadrunner says Stratosphere Lounge is my favorite camptime story. It's actually going to be, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when there's no common cultural language in terms of experiences. We don't do things at the same time. We don't do the same things either. Joseph Cosenza the third, apparently, with the super chat, says you need to do a virtual president for modern times. I kind of do, but the whole idea of the virtual presidency was that this was right after Barack Obama's re-election, and it was like, can we have an American president who cares about America? That was basically what virtual presidency was all about, and we've actually got one now. So, maybe I need to do a virtual Nancy Pelosi Speaker of the House kind of thing, and just grab a wig and identify as a woman, and we'll just kind of let it go with that. So there's that. There's one thing kind of AI related that might be worth talking about. I covered it briefly, but let me just show you, since this is our pop culture night, and also since it's been a while since I've been able to do any CG work. Take a look at this. I'm going to drop into these two streams here. I'm going to drop. It's only about 2 minutes. It's a demo of a game that's been out for several years now called Cyberpunk 77, but it's got a new shader on it. The characters look much better than they do in the game, but they don't look real. But the automobiles and the driving and the city are pretty damn amazing, and the shader itself, I think, is almost a year old. So this is how fast things are moving. So I'll drop it into YouTube first, and I'll keep the sound going so I can do like kind of a running narration. If it's a little out of balance and stuff, I apologize. I'll try and get the levels as close as I can, but no promises. All right, so here we go. And forgive the delay in the narration because I got to drop these both pretty fast. Let's do YouTube first, and I'm going to have to resize this, aren't I? Yes. All right, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to play it. I don't know. Maybe I'll say something. Here it comes. It's much easier for Twitch. Again, the humans are not the strong part here. But they're better. Wait till you see the cars and the drivers. It's kind of amazing. just a second. I can't tell that's CG. And this is not pre-rendered stuff. This is coming at you at 60 frames a second. And as you'll see, you'll be able to drive these vehicles. Hang in there, Twitch, here it comes. That's phenomenal. And wait till you see the driving through the city. It's phenomenal. Now this isn't AI generated in the AI says this is traditional CGI with just a really, really good shader on it and path tracing of all the light rays and so on. But hey, if you'd shown me this footage, there's no way I could tell you that this was CG. Parts of the driving I can tell, but man, it's good for video game. Colonies, man. You get the humans looking great. This level of believability and fidelity is fine with me. And you don't have to do 120 frames or 60 frames or 30 or 40 frames a second. I mean, just the render quality is amazing. So good that when they go blowing through red lights, it actually makes me anxious. Very happy with this level of for the colonies. Like I said, the people don't hold up well. That's why we were doing the tests that we did a couple months ago. But this is I think this is just great. Almost here. Okay, that was Cyberpunk 77, which looks nothing like this good out of the box. This is a, I'm pretty sure that this is a fan-made shader, and it's crazy good. Hey everybody, who's joining us just now? So that was just a little reminder of how fast things are moving. I had an encouraging thought about AI. Marusha, who's back, and welcome back, by the way, Marusha. We missed you certainly over the last couple of weeks, last couple shows, several shows. But Marusha's one of the people in our comment section here, obviously, and real active person, and has been, correct me if I'm wrong, has identified himself as a transhumanist and been a big advocate for AI, and I've been, for most of the time, extraordinarily wary of AI and very concerned about very concerned about the negative possibilities of it. And I would say that I've been a pretty anti-AI guy. When I started working with Grok for the stuff on the colonies, and I was starting to get hard number mathematical answers out of things like how much energy would it take for a Stargate and all of this stuff, I began to realize the power of it. And then I had an interesting thought. Natasha's been working. She's had thanks. By the way, before I forget, thank you to everyone who not only subscribed to Natasha's channel, which is 3,500 subscribers and growing steadily. I also want to thank everybody who chipped in last Thursday at PayPal and made a donation there. That really just helped us. We were in a bit of a cash bind there, and it was really very, very kind. So if you were one of those people, thank you very much, and very grateful. Really, really appreciated that. Anyway, so Natasha is talking about on her channel branching out and doing story times for kids, and I don't want to get into too many details about that because she, unlike me, doesn't like to reveal things until it's ready. But one of the things that we're finding with ChatGPT, which is considerably more popular than Grok, Grok does not remember you from when you close a browser tab and then you go back to Grok with a new browser tab. It has no idea what it said to you before. It doesn't have persistence of memory. I think ChatGPT does, or at least to some degree it does. In fact, Natasha asked ChatGPT a question. Hang on a second. We were playing around with Sora, which is their image generator, and hang on. And so Natasha, who's been using ChatGPT a lot, ChatGPT helps her with her descriptions for her videos. Said, let me see if I get the same results. I'm going to type in, what can you tell me? This is ChatGPT, which I don't use very often. But Natasha did it 2 nights ago, and it was impressive. What can you tell me about conservative political commentator Bill Whittle? I'm AI famous, apparently. Now, the thing it wrote back before, oh wow, I get a whole history here. I mean, really crazy amount of history. What it wrote something really swinging. You know, it's kind of like Bill's kind of a cosmic surfer who does the astronomical thing and brings perspective to this. But really crazy good. Beyond his media work, Whittle is an amateur historian, computer graphic artist, licensed pilot with over 1,000 hours of flight experience in experimental aircraft. He married internationally known photographer Natalia Melnikova in 2016 and resides in Los Angeles. And for more of his work, you can go to his website. But in any way, what she wrote, what it wrote back to Natasha yesterday was a little, like I say, a little bit cooler than that. But here's my point. One of the things that occurred to me is this. Oh no. Chris O'Neill says, I lost my best friend Lacey and Bill lost Bean. I'm so sorry, Chris. I feel your pain, brother. Very sorry to hear that. Here's the thing that gave me some real hope. They gave a group of students, American high school students, who are not the world's greatest performers when it comes to academic excellence, thanks to the Department of Education. But they gave them 2 hours a day with AI, and their test scores didn't just improve; they shot up. I mentioned that that when I was working with Grok on the Stargate stuff and the quantum information holography stuff and all that, that it made me smarter. And one thing I realized is that kids who are growing up now, and I think this is really encouraging. Kids that are growing up now are going to have AI companions. We can get into the entire thing about not having, physical friends, and that's something I've been on about for a long time. But some positive news is they're going to have AI companions. And God knows the internet has changed since it started, so I'm not locking myself into something that no one can predict. But so far, everything I've seen from AI has been positive advice. What I mean by that is, I don't ever see a world where this AI companion is going to give them destructive advice. I can't see a world where the 14-year-old who's grown up with this companion, this AI companion, and this AI companion knows this. Let's say it's a boy, and let's say that this AI companion has been with this kid since he was 4. Now he's 14 years old. AI has been specifically ChatGPT has been shown to be really an effective counselor, a therapist kind of thing, and so I can't imagine a world where a child that's grown up with an AI tutor gets bad advice from that tutor. Now, there's an awful lot of danger and damage that's done if you have kids trusting AI more than their parents and all the rest of it. So I don't want to say this is really swell, but I was so impressed by the idea that this advice is not only wise, it's often profoundly wise. And I've never seen, and I can't imagine a world where where little Johnny or Erasmus or Denton or whatever the hell, Bebop or whatever name is going to be really a big deal. I don't know where they're going to get advice. Yeah, go out and smoke some dope. You'll feel better. I just don't think it's going to happen. Hey, look at that. Cafetionado's got a link. Synthesia.io, create an AI clone of yourself. Well, all right, I'll keep that tab open. That sounds like that could be fun. In fact, I'll move that over somewhere so that I don't lose it by accident. Now, again, I see the limitations. Marusha makes a point, says, and I think Marusha makes this point. I think this is the issue. In YouTube stream, Marusha says, I trust the AI more than I trust the teachers. The AI isn't going to chop their genitals off, for instance. So far, I don't know how susceptible AI will become to social pressure. I don't know if the world will ever come where AI companion says, yes, you should transition. If you're unhappy being a boy and you feel like a girl, see, I've just undercut my own argument. I had assumed that there would be that the AI would provide the correct and wise and proven result, which is, well, a lot of kids go through phases, and a lot of girls like to dress up like boys and play baseball and hang out with boys. Doesn't mean they're girls. So anyway, it would be nice to think that if kids are going to be married to their devices, AI in a device, for example, could prevent porn from being available on that device. And so, and AI is going to prevent you from doing, presumably dumb things. Hey, there's a first-time chat from Conil61 saying cheers. Hello, Conil. Welcome, and we're always glad to see people come up. Now, P7 2017 says AI is the product of its programming. Yes, that's true, but it is independent to the degree that it's drawing upon. I mean, the whole reason it's AI is, and not just Siri, which was, I think, probably the first publicly available AI. I mean, it was limited; it was very limited AI. But the first time I saw Siri, whatever, 12 years ago now or something, encountered Siri, I just was blown away. It's like I just hit a button. It's like, hey Siri, how far away is the nearest star? Oh, Proxima Centauri is 4 points. That's amazing. Siri, what does a camel weigh? And it would tell me. And how far is it to Zanzibar from where I'm standing right now? So it's possible that it could do a lot of good. I saw something that that said it's funny because people can lie and have been known to lie all the time. And I saw something that was a guy who said Microsoft has created an AI called something or other, and it is able to tell with 100% certainty if an image is computer generated or not. And I thought, that sounds reasonable. I'm sure that's easy for it to do. I mean, most people who work in the visual arts can pretty much tell at a relatively quick glance. But good, AI will be out there to police what's real and what's not real. And then in the next sentence, the guy said, "So we fed this 100% reliable AI all of the footage from the Apollo missions." I said, "Oh, here we go." And then this guy says, "And the AI proved that all of the footage from the Apollo missions was faked." I said, "Okay." Somebody in the comment section said Microsoft never made a AI called Neural whatever or whatever. So people are going to be appealing to AI as an impartial judge and just plain lying. So Marisha says, host keeps trying to sell you Coca-Cola? Humans. I understand enough about the nature of how AI in its current state works. And it is essentially sampling the total of human experience without emotional bias internally. Now, the targets and the rewards that any particular AI is given, that's a different story. If you tell AI, a particular AI, if you tell it, look, you get a reward for every time you comport with the trans narrative or something, then you'll get a lot of bad advice. But it doesn't seem like that is really what AI is. AI is much more nuanced than that. So I don't know. Anyway, there you go. Infidel 42 says, first question I ever asked Siri was to find the soonest flight to Tashkent, Uzbekistan. My friends were like, WTF? Yes, WTF is right. When all of their LOLs became WTFs. So anyway, just a thought on things socially and culturally, and I am much more excited about this than I used to be, and considerably more relieved. Although I have to say, my relief is not just that I had not just that Grok had a chance to butter me up for a total of 7 or 8 hours or something, because I know when I'm being emotionally manipulated, but where she says, Bill trusts the AI when it says climate change is fake, but distrusts it when it says the moon landing is fake. But you're missing the point, Marisha. The AI did not say the moon landing was fake. A person said that the AI said that the moon landing was fake. That's the point. And AI did take a look at the climate data and said, nothing to see here, but not that that's going to change many minds. Anyway, it's constantly changing and moving very, very fast. And It's a brave new world out there. It's interesting to think about how AI could protect us in the information age. It's it's going to be, I guess, like anything else. It's going to be offense and defense and offense and defense. Coneil61, who's now made a second chat, hooray, says that Trump just placed a 100% tariff on foreign movie production. How does that work? Does that mean 100% tariff on the budget of a film if it's shot in the U.S., or is that 100% tariff on, what? Do I want Skynet? No, I don't. FN Geek AZ says, do you want Skynet? No, I want humans in the loop. We need humans in the loop. So anyway, a lot going on there. Chris O'Neill. Hi, Chris. It's good to see you. I know you were kidding. It's an interesting question. It's like what? Well, I'll tell you one thing. We're not gonna stop at the. We're not gonna do the wise thing and stop. We're gonna just do what we can do, not what we should do, and then we're gonna find out what happens. I had an interesting conversation. I was editing this show. This was one of Mike Rowe's shows that I did with him about nuclear power, and we were talking about nuclear accidents and things that matter. And I said, humans are worry machines. That we have a survival gene that makes us worry about things, because the humans that were the most prolific and accurate worriers were the ones that were best able to prepare for future catastrophes. Were descended from the people that posted lookouts on the mouth of the caves and the guys who thought, there's probably no leopards out there, it'll be fine. No, it'll be fine. They're not around so much anymore. So we're worry machines. And what I was saying to Mike was that we were talking about the Chernobyl disaster, among other things, and there was talk about, Europe is going to be made uninhabitable for, 200, 300 years. Oh, producer member, hurrah. Thanks, Chris. It's good to see you. And I said something that I think is kind of interesting. I said, Mike, the worst case scenario never happens because it can't happen. The worst case scenario is impossible. That's a bold statement. But here's why I said it. The worst case scenario is the sum of our fears. It's what, and we go there. We instinctively go there. I said it doesn't feel good, but it feels right to go to the worst case scenario. My God, Europe is going to be unlivable for 200 years because of this radiation cloud, and people are saying nothing's going to grow in the exclusion zone for 200-300 years. And there's just tremendous amount of biodiversity there now, and the forest is recovered, and all these animals have moved back in, and so my point is that the worst case scenario never happens because it can't happen, because the worst case scenario in reality is not as bad as what our imaginations are capable of producing. You remember the hole in the ozone layer that was going to exterminate life on Earth if we didn't do something about it. Okay, well, there was a hole in the ozone layer, and there's fairly convincing evidence that it was caused by hydrofluorocarbon aerosol gases, CFCs. Thank you, Matt. And that hole is closing, but it didn't wipe out life on Earth. The bees are dying, and if the bees die, then there won't be any more pollination, and there'll be no more food, and everybody's going to die. And we're heading to a period of glaciation where humans are going to die because it's going to get too cold. No, it's going to get too hot. The sea levels are going to rise and we're all going to drown. The the list of these things that goes on and on and on. Hydrofluorocarbons. Thank you very much. Aquanet hard as hit, says Kirk's Bamboo Bazooka. But none of these worst case scenarios happen because they lie outside of the bounds of physical possibility, but inside of the bounds of human imagination. And this is something we need to be aware of. And it's something that I should be aware of too when I talk about AI and, AI killing all the humans and all the rest of it. That's the worry gene at work. That's the human proclivity to go to, oh my God, we'd better sharpen up the spears because, something bad's going to happen tonight once the orange face in the sky goes down. So there you go. Anyway, I think at this point I will jump into the comments. We are back on track on getting the website fixed. It's being worked on right now. We have a fast website when we're not logged in, which is kind of not the plan. But we have got our best men on it. Our best men are working on getting that fixed right now for members. Troy Stevens really nailed it here. He says, we've always been living in the end times. We've always been living in the end times. Exactly. And that's true for all, like in Western history, the end of the millennium, the return of Christ, Armageddon, it's just nuclear war. It's always just been something that's out there in the dark that scares the bejesus out of us. And I think it's valuable for rational people to be aware of that propensity. So let's see what we got for our questions for today. Sikapalan says, outside the bounds of physical possibility, but inside the bounds of human imagination sounds like the narration to the Twilight Zone, the sequel. Well, you could do worse as a writer than to be compared to Rod Serling, to be honest with you. Okay, so let's see what we got. Member forum. Oh, and I mentioned I was editing the shows that we shot. Shot 7 shows for Mike Rowe. This is just a little bit of personal vanity here, just to spice things up. I shot those 7 episodes when I was at pretty much, not quite my peak weight, but close enough. I was probably 202, 203 pounds when I shot it. And I got the video back, and I looked at this, and I said, how did I let myself go this much? I took it as a compliment, Sika Pollen. I thought it was absolutely a compliment. I just look at this footage and I get to watch 7 episodes of me just sitting there with this gigantic, spare tire, and it's like, I'm down 11 or 12 pounds now, so I'm planning on keeping that going. I was 191 this morning, down from high, probably all-time high was probably 206, maybe 205. Down to 191, and I'm going through the 180s, and I'm going to stop somewhere around probably 185, 186. I want to fit back into my original firewall grade jacket and pants, and then I will do firewalls again. So there. Here come the questions. Okay, so curated tonight by Roadrunner again. Thank you, Roadrunner. Deeply appreciate it. Thank you very much for getting these things organized here. So let's see. We got an Ian Nolan. We got a Marusha Dark. We got an Astrasea, Roadrunner, Eric Blake, Marusha Dark. Okay, we can get through those. And Yeah, I saw that, Marisha. It's just when you hit me with that much information, it's like it's not something I can read and digest in a show live, but we will get there. Yeshua Dionysus says, "Do you believe in God?" I actually do, although God knows it took me long enough to find my way there. That's a story I've covered many times on this show before, and I will. I'm sure I'll cover it again in some point in the future, but I'm certainly not going to do it now. So Ian Nolan, Bill, on Story Mechanics, I like the interview, but I find the music for your intro outro transition a bit jarring. Maybe lower the volume by 20%. Yeah, you may be right about that. I like the punch of it. So we'll see. I've been watching Light and Magic, which is the documentary series about ILM. As bad as he was about every other aspect of filmmaking, George Lucas's genius was in inventing the field of visual effects. Okay, well, sorry, I have to interrupt here. Yeshua Dionysus has come back into the comments section and said he's spoken in some tongues, and then goes on to say that he is Jesus, which I find unlikely. God generator, operator, destroyer, news, new, north, east, west, and south, with a laughing till I cry face there. So we're not going to take a whole lot of that, Yeshua, to be honest with you. If you want to behave yourself, you're welcome to stay. If not, you'll be shown the digital door. Yeah, George Lucas, it's hard to overestimate, or rather understate, one more time, it's hard to overstate what George Lucas contributed to that. He his ILM was the state of the art for pretty much 10 years. And then I think the best effects house. I think the two effects houses that I've seen that are better. All right, I've had enough. Sorry, just take a moment. Done. Okay. I think the two effects houses that have impressed me the best visual effects I've ever seen in a movie, ever, was what was that movie? Was it? Hang on. There he is. Hang on a second. District 9. Yeah, I was trying to say section something. District 9 has the best special effects I've ever seen. It's just astonishingly good. Integration of CGI into live action. It's really Logan's Run. Yeah, after Logan's Run. I'm not crazy about Neil Blomkamp's politics or anything, but the effects in Section 9 is District 9 is phenomenal. He really good, and I think second place goes to Weta in New Zealand. That's Peter Jackson's organization. They're just plain superb, and Chappie is 10 years old. Again, I thought the effects were great. I just don't like his stuff. Blomkamp, I just don't like his politics. Blomkamp, however, had something called Oates Studios and was doing a lot of work in Unity, and did some really cool shorts, really cool shorts. But District 9 is the it's just the best visual effects I've ever seen, and he's a real genius. Um, I just I don't know. It's just didn't he do did he do Elysium? I couldn't even bear to watch that film. I kind of wanted to, but it just offended me on so many levels. The rich people live in the sky, and the poor people, have to live on Earth, and they just throw scraps of food. Just this whole anti-capitalist, anti, you know, just the whole socialist revolutionary kind of dogma crud. It's just boring, just old. It's just really really old, and I don't no, I just don't get it. I'm tired of these things. I'm tired, and I've talked about this before too. Another science fiction. It's not even a trope anymore. It's a universality. It's just got to be there, and that is humans have destroyed the Earth, so we have to move to Io. It was an actual movie that was predicated on that. That the Earth is so unlivable, we have to move to Io, to the most hostile environment in the solar system. Yeah, that's right. Earth is in such bad shape, we got to go to Io. Earth is in such bad shape, we have to go to fill in the blank. It's just nuts. Just nuts. Oh, there's a film called Off the Grid. I don't think I ever saw that. Oh, hold on. Done in Unreal Engine 5. Cool. Let me save this for later. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. There's no question about it. He's really gifted guy. I just wish these people would have a little more faith on that. To be fair, the colonies is built on the premise that commies destroyed the Earth and we had to move to foreign planets. It's not based on that premise. I don't know where you got that from. I never said that. I didn't say that commies destroyed the Earth at all. I said that commies had the ultimate decline of cities because of urban decay and because of collectivism, but there's no way I would have the Earth be poisoned, because that trope is something I'm trying to eliminate. On the contrary, it's tough. In fact, I really would like to have one of these scenes take place in this really hot environment on Earth, but I don't want to do it because I don't want to contribute to this whole global warming, we're all going to die kind of hysteria. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's that. Where did we get off the rails here? Here we go. So George Lucas really did do an awful lot, and you can't leave Pixar out of the equation. Their movies were nothing but hits for quite a long time, and then as Marisha says here, they were poisoned ideologically. He wasn't talking about Pixar, but Pixar movies got a little woke, but the technologies that Pixar developed in terms of shaders and things. I mean, in Monsters Inc., I think was the first time I ever saw a fur shader that was just fantastic. Rodzilla says, refresh the questions, just slid one in there. Okay. We kind of do have a closing bell, but we don't have a whole lot of questions tonight, so we'll take that. Where did it go? Oh, okay. I'm glad we got this question. So moving on. Topic: the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Everybody, sit down and brace yourselves. Mr. Virtual SecDef, there's recently been a meme circulating online about who would win in a fight to the death, 100 men or a single gorilla. This has been all over the internet for a week or so. it's a thought experiment, and the thought experiment is, you have 100 men. You can pick the men, 100 healthy, strong men, versus one gorilla, unarmed, obviously. Who would win? Given your predilection for military tactics, I was wondering if you could weigh in on this important issue. To keep it interesting, assume the following conditions. Number one, no outside help, obviously. Number two, no option for either side to escape, negotiate, or surrender. You're just locked in a giant box together and can't leave until one side definitively kills the other. Yes, so let's say they put them in the Coliseum. Three, no weapons or tools allowed, just naked hand-to-hand combat. Four, a random sampling from the current American population. You're not getting 100 James T. Kirks. In fact, you'll almost certainly have a David Hogg or a Michael Moore on your team, or maybe a Jocko Willink if you're lucky. And five, the gorilla stats are all maxed out while we're still within the limits of reality. In other words, max size, speed, strength, stamina, violence, etc. How would you attempt to lead these men to victory if such a thing was possible? The answer is I would surrender. You could give me 100 bodybuilders, and so on. Now, Chris Potter says the gorilla doesn't have the stamina to kill 100 men. This is the only part of the argument I've heard that has some merit, but when this argument was circulating, people talked about gorillas have a 1,400 psi grip strength or bite strength, and 8 times the strength of humans. They can theoretically bench press 2,000-3,000 pounds if you were able to talk one of them into it. But the main thing is the gorilla bone structure and muscle mass have to be built. A silverback gorilla has to be able to survive combat with another silverback gorilla, and the bone density. Vorpal's Bunny's Revenge says just because humans don't start with weapons don't mean they won't find or make them during the fight. No, the humans. If this is hand to hand, if you bring weapons into it, it's all over. No sharp sticks, no pointy rocks. You're in the floor of the Coliseum with sand on the ground. Heretic says people insanely inflate the capabilities of a gorilla. They don't. There's nothing that a human could do to damage a gorilla. There's nothing that 10 humans could do to damage a gorilla. You could punch them in the face all day. The problem, of course, is that it's not 100 men versus a gorilla. It's 6 or 7 men versus a gorilla at a time. There's no way to get 100 men on top of a gorilla. There's no way so the number of humans is essentially irrelevant as far as the thing goes. Speaker Steve says humans trains for combat, gorillas do not. There's no way to understate the power of gorillas. P7 2017 says gorillas hit things. The windows in the gorilla side of the ape house are 2.5 inches of sandwich plexi, and they've broken through that. They are simply going to tear the arms off of every single human that they encounter. They're just going to rip their arms off, and their bone density and their muscle mass is so great that human fists cannot hurt them. It's not like you can put up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hit points on this thing. You cannot injure a gorilla with human fists. Other gorillas cannot fatally injure gorillas. When two silverback males are battling it out for dominance, they're going at each other with 7-8 times human strength, and they walk away from it. So I think this thing is I saw a zoologist talking about just the mechanical advantage that gorillas have in terms of their just the leverage of their skeletal system. Vorpal's Bunny Revenge says you can blind the gorilla. Good luck with that. Gorillas have been killed by 75-pound cats. I've never seen it. I've never seen a healthy gorilla. I've never seen anything take on a healthy gorilla. This business about going for the eyes and so on. And then you break the knees and the ankles. You cannot break their knees and ankles. You cannot break them. Their bones are 4 times thicker, and you send a team of 10 men at a time to gouge the gorilla's eyes, but you can't get 20 hands on an eye. So no, the gorilla is gonna just mop the floor with people. It just is. And this is like guys saying, "Oh, I could beat up a bear." It's like, no, you couldn't be. I'm not entirely sure that 10 men could beat a chimp. To be honest with you, they're just, people don't have any idea how much and you say go for the gorilla's testicles. Well, I don't imagine the gorilla's going to just stand there and let you do it. You have to. Everybody thinks you're just going to rush this thing. One guy coming from behind while the gorilla chases in front of him. Okay, so what's the guy coming from behind going to do? He cannot injure the gorilla. He can't choke it. There's no neck. They have no necks. You can't get underneath their neck. There's no choking it. He can bang his fists on it all day. It won't even notice. He's going to grab a person. He's going to rip his leg off, and then he's going to use his leg as a club, and he's just going to slaughter everybody. I would be interested in seeing this because it's a hot topic, but honestly, I don't see any way where it's like saying if you had a lion versus 1,000 rabbits. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I no, we're not going to find out, which is a shame, because that would be a great way to reduce the deficit. Speaker Steve says a fighter can punch the gorilla in the face and knock him out regardless of how thick his bones are, bro. No, Steve, he cannot. A fighter cannot. A gorilla delivers something like 7 times the amount of force that a human delivers, and gorillas are built to survive fights with other gorillas. There is not a human in the world that could punch a gorilla on the chin and get any kind of response out of this thing. He doesn't have a neck to snap. A knockout punch is when you hit somebody and you basically twist the brainstem and people just go out. There's no neck on these things. 100 progressives versus a gorilla. That's the only chance I think that the humans would have, is if you put 100 progressives against a gorilla. There's a chance that the gorilla might have mercy and just pee on them or might actually kill itself. That's, I think, about the only chance there is. No, I'm on Team Gorilla on this one. And when it's like, and if you're going to really take this seriously, you're also in the situation where you hear people say, well, you throw 40 or 50 humans at it to tire it out. So they kill 40 or 50 humans. So we'd lose 40 or 50 guys. And then it's like, okay, well, who's going to go first? If you really want to be serious about this, who's going to be the first 30? We're all going to get together and vote, and we're going to go see which ones are doing that. Steve says, you're underestimating the talent that human fighters accumulate over a lifetime. It's got nothing to do with talent. It's like punching. It's like how many guys do you need to bring down a punching bag? I'm not gonna spend any more time on this. I'm just saying. This thing with one bite is going to crush anybody's skull. And it is more than capable of simply grabbing a person and ripping its arms off of them, or its legs for that matter. And I'm surprised that the way it goes. Now, Steve says, I think there's one fighter somewhere alive today that would volunteer and win. I'll tell you who would back the gorilla on this one. I bet you anything Joe Rogan would say that is nuts. That I think Joe Rogan would be on Team Gorilla. In fact, I think I've heard him say something to that effect. I think I heard Joe Rogan talking about guys that claim they could beat up chimps, and he said, just no chance. He says you just can't believe how strong these things are, and how it's not just the muscle mass on a chimp; it's their arm leverage. Some of it's just simple mechanics. We'll leave this one in the air. I don't want to make any enemies or anything. Ever seen a pack of lions take down an elephant? Yes, but I'm not talking about an elephant. Um, I don't know if I've actually seen a pack of lions take down an elephant. I'm sure that happens. And by the way, lions don't go for the strongest elephant, and lions don't go for the strongest gorilla. All the predators go for the weak, the old, or the sick. All three, if they can get it. And there you go. Sergio Stevens is on Team Gorilla. Yeah, I just think it'd be, it's obviously an interesting discussion, but look, I'm a humanophile. I love humans. If you bring weapons into it, then it's a human 3-year-old can kill a silverback gorilla. A human 3-year-old with a 45 model 1911 could put an end to this real easily. So, Richard says should make a poll in the chat: Team Human versus Team Gorilla. I mean, why not? I mean, it's interesting. But in any event, Astrocia is next. I would not attempt to lead these men to victory. I think the best argument I've heard is tiring it out. The lions all just grab a hold of some piece of the elephant until the weight of them drags it down. Yes, but the elephant is not able. The elephant has to be on 4 legs at all time. Elephants are the only animals the only mammals that are not capable of jumping because they have to have their feet on the ground. The elephant can't reach up behind it and rip the arms off of one of these lions. Can't grab it by the tail. So that argument is it just doesn't work. Just wouldn't work. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm on Team Gorilla for this one. Again, because 100 guys. It's not a gorilla versus 100 guys. It's realistically, given how fast these things move, it's honestly a gorilla versus 3 or 4 humans sequentially. And then the only argument I've ever heard that makes sense is you would eventually tire the gorilla out. But even if you tired the gorilla out and it's lying there on the ground, if it's lying there on the ground and you're stomping it in the head with your feet, you're still not damaging the gorilla. It doesn't care. It just doesn't care. Now, a bunny rabbit, those sharp, pointy teeth, that's a whole other story. All right, moving on from this silliness. Elephant, destroy a gorilla. I don't know. I've never seen a human rip the arms off of something because they don't actually do that, because I've never seen a gorilla fighting a human, to the death. But I'm with Joe Rogan and most professional fighters and zoologists and stuff on this one. I'm gonna stand by that. When I heard this guy listing the just not just the offensive force. Just the offensive force of the gorilla is unbelievable. But when he basically said there is nothing you can do to it, you cannot punch it out, you can't kick it, it doesn't care. So we'll see. This is why I said human. I'm on the side of humans, and if it came down to humans versus, that's why I think Planet of the Apes is just ridiculous. All these apes are like, they're so strong and they're so fast. It's like, well, they're not faster than this AR-15 round, so, good luck with that. Astrocia. Howdy, Mr. Bill. I've heard the arguments that Star Trek is a show that has always pushed boundaries and that the progressive narrative within modern-day productions are simply a continuation of that trend. What are your thoughts about this? This is actually a good argument. Now, Chuck Norris versus a gorilla, that's a different story completely, but it specifically excluded Chuck Norris. I beat you to it, Bartman. Beat you to it. Can it be blinded? Well, it can be blinded if you can get your hand inside of this brow ridge while it scrunches up its eyes and has these freaking fangs this big that'll. They say they can bite through a bowling ball. So we'll see. So I'm going with Chuck Norris versus the gorilla, but gorilla versus 100 humans. This is an interesting question. So it's true. Star Trek was always a progressive show. The original Star Trek series had, let's not forget, this was 1966, so 20 years after World War II, when, 20 years ago is 9/11 is 24 years ago, right? So that anger we feel towards jihadis was felt by an entire generation of Greatest Generation dads who were watching Star Trek, and you've got this Japanese guy on the bridge. That was actually a pretty bold statement. Putting a Russian on the bridge of the Enterprise in the heat of the Cold War was a bold statement, and needless to say, the boldest of the bold statements was Lieutenant Uhura, who Martin Luther King. She wanted to leave after the first season, and Martin Luther King basically met her at a party or something, and said, "You can't leave the show. You just can't. The role model you're providing is too valuable for us. You simply cannot leave the show." Nichelle Nichols told that story many times, and I believe it. Yes, Star Trek has always been a progressive show. Yes. So does that mean that Star Trek would be a transgender show? Because Star Trek became very, very woke with Discovery and Picard and and all the rest of these things that aren't even really Star Trek. So the question is that Star Trek or has it crossed a line? In the interest of intellectual honesty, I think the people that say that Star Trek would be woke have a solid argument. But there's also let's put it this way. I don't imagine any world, because the Star Trek ethos is Gene Roddenberry. Roddenberry was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for combat missions. He was a warrior. He was I don't know if he was actually a policeman. I know he hung out and wrote a lot of police dramas. So Roddenberry was a manly man. He wasn't a Kurtzman. You're either a real man or a Kurtz man. So Roddenberry knew what reality was, and he wanted an optimistic future where we basically solve our problems, and that is, in its sense, utopian, which is in a lot of ways unrealistic. And I'm guilty of that as well. I just different kind of utopia. For me, it gets you thinking about things, however, and it's always good to have a goal. Dave Big Boutte says Roddenberry was a motorcycle cop in the LAPD. How about that? But there's no world where Dr. McCoy says, "Damn it, Jim, I can't tell if this is a woman or not." There's no world in Gene Roddenberry's universe where you travel from one point in the galaxy to another instantaneously because of a fungus that is invisible, that connects all the planets together. So the counter argument to the fact that Star Trek was always a progressive story is to say Star Trek was a progressive story within the confines of realism and scientific speculation. And furthermore, Star Trek was about maximal human potential and freedom, but it wasn't about endless The argument against modern Star Trek being progressive is this: the Enterprise, the Bridge of the Enterprise, was about human unity and merit. It was about being judged by not by the color of your skin, but by the content of your character. That's what the Enterprise of the original series was all about: merit. Everything that is woke is anti-merit, and everything that is woke is anti-unity. It's all about grievance groups and victims. There's no way in the world that this Star Trek back here, this guy's not a victim. He's not competing for victimhood. He's earned his legendary status. Kirk didn't get to be Kirk because he was the brother of Spock and or the son of Superman. It's woke departs from reality. And I think the example of, in the med bay, damn it, Jim, I can't tell if it's a man or a woman. That's not Star Trek. It's not Star Trek. It's the what the hell did they call it? Not the fungus, the spore drive. That's not science. That's not science fiction. It's just plain laziness. Just laziness. We're going to stick tubes in a guy's arm, and he's going to stand there while this man's husband looks at him lovingly from behind a plexiglass wall. That's not Star Trek. That's not science. It's ridiculous. Some alien is going to have a conniption fit and scream, and the emotional force of this is going to dissolve all the dilithium crystals in the galaxy. It's just plain stupid. It's stupid. And woke philosophy is stupid. So woke is excluded from Star Trek. Star Trek is predicated on possibilities and believabilities. And it is also, Star Trek is about unification, not about division. And modern wokeism is all about division. Cornel61 says, how many white people were on the bridge? I bet a lot. Yeah. Too many white people in command. How dare they? Exactly. He's being facetious here, but that's it too. This is bringing up something that's a really delicate topic, but it's actually been on my mind a lot, so I might as well just jump into this. We are seeing a big lie that is gaining traction and becoming truth to a lot of people. And that big lie is that white people did nothing to build America. All we did was steal prosperity from blacks, and Hispanics built the country, and blacks built the country, and white people had nothing to do with it. And that blacks invented all of these things, and that whites did nothing but steal those inventions. This story is gaining traction across this culture. It's gaining traction fast, and this idea where there were too many white people on the bridge of the Enterprise. You can. I don't want to go there. I'm not the one making this argument, and I'm not the one who wants to be the person to have to fight back against this argument. I've said a lot of things about women warriors because they don't exist, and so it puts me in a position where defending reality makes me look like a complete dick, because it's like, well, why are you being so mean? No, I'm not being mean to women. I'm just saying that Scarlett Johansson cannot punch out a 220-pound security guard. 100 Scarlett Johanssons couldn't punch out one security guard. So this thing has to be dealt with, I mean, it has to be dealt with. And I don't want to be the person to deal with it. I don't want to be that guy, but sometimes somebody's got to be that guy. I mean, I don't even really need to know if I need to do this, because we're getting real close to the third rail here. I just think that it's not that I'm afraid of it. It's that I understand and have seen through personal experience how easy it is to take these things out of context and and make people think that you said things that you didn't say. One of the people that I admire the most in the history of America, and a person I think should be on the money, is Booker T. Washington because of his attitude, his humility, his work ethic, his ingenuity, his intellectual genius, and especially his character. Okay, so I'm a Booker T. Washington guy, um, but but this idea that that uh, that white people have stolen everything is just plain ridiculous. That you know that not even immigrants. I've seen Mexicans say that Mexicans built American cities. It's just not true. It's just not true. Those buildings were built by white workers. You look at the construction photographs of the Empire State Building, and the guys that are up there on those girders and without safety lines. That's who built that. Now, obviously, blacks and Hispanics and all the rest of them contributed to the building, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this idea that's going around and getting a lot of traction, where Africans were nothing but kings and queens, and white people came to came to Africa and stole all of their riches, burned their books about their great lost civilizations, and basically stole. This is becoming a common, not even a meme, a common belief in the black community that black people invented everything and white people just stole it. And somebody's got to put a stop to this before this thing gets a whole lot more traction, because it's just plain not true. It's not true. You busted half nickel swamp says, how do they claim white people stole the land, but then they say no human is illegal? Better question is, when you talk to people about like America, they say, oh, white people stole this land. Who did the white people steal the land from? They stole it from the indigenous Americans. Aha. Hold on. You don't get that argument. I want to know who the white people stole it from. Did they steal it from the Crows? Did they steal it from the Comanches? Did they steal it from the Apaches? Who did they steal it from? Because if you make them name the Indian nation, then you are stuck with the fact that the Indian nations were at war with each other for the entire history of Indian nations, and that they were constantly stealing land from each other all the time. The Comanche damn near wiped out all of the other Indian tribes put together. And this is the thing, see, where they get to, oh, well, it stole it from the Indians, from the Native Americans. Which ones? Because they were constantly going back and forth over each other's territory, raping, murdering, pillaging, looting, doing all of these other things. And this idea that the Native Americans were just one peaceful tribe of hippies that just sat there and smoked dope and watched the sun go down, is really unfair to the Indians, who were warriors and damn proud of it. So you get this whole thing where it's like all of these human sins that are endemic to the entire human race are being placed on white people exclusively. Only white people ever owned slaves. Only white people ever stole other people's lands or moved into other people's lands. And people say, how would you like it if somebody came in and stole your land from you? I would say, I wouldn't like it at all, which is why I'm in favor of a $700 billion defense budget every year. That's what I say. And I did a segment of this on one of the, I think it must have been I think it was one of the early firewalls, where I took a look at Lubbock, Texas. And if you want to give Lubbock, Texas back to the original owners, you'd have to haul down the American flag and give Lubbock back to the people that had it before that, which would be the Confederacy. Well then, if Confederates stole it from somebody, right? So yes, then you'd have to give Lubbock back to the Republic of Texas. Well, the Republic of Texas stole it from somebody, so you'd have to give it back to Mexico. But Mexico didn't even exist as a country until the 1800s or something. Today's Cinco de Mayo, by the way, which is not Mexican Independence Day. But Mexico became independent from Spain, so it has to go back to Spain. The Mexicans took it from the Spanish. The Spanish took it from the French, and the French took it from the Spanish again. And back to before that, it belonged to the Aztecs and the Mayans and other Southern American Indian tribes, Apaches and so on, and Comanches in the area. And then they took it from other people, and go all the way back to Piltdown Man, right? You go back to the first people to cross the Bering land bridge. So the only two people that have a claim on Lubbock, Texas, are Piltdown Man and Americans, because they're the only two that are on the end of a spectrum. They're the only two that are in unique positions. Everybody else took it from somebody else. And since Piltdown Man is not here anymore, the Comanches stole it from Piltdown Man, and the Apaches stole it from the Comanches, and then the Spanish stole it from the Apaches, and then the Mexicans took it from the Spanish when they became independent. The Texans took it from the Mexicans. Then the Confederacy took it from the Texans, and then the United States took it from the Confederacy. And maybe it was Clovis Man. It must have been Clovis Man. I got it wrong. Yeah, Piltdown Man was a hoax. So Clovis Man. And I bet Clovis was a hell of a dude. Yeah, fighting over territory, the most blood-soaked region in the world in terms of stolen land is got to be France. And what happened to the Gauls, and what happened to the Angles, and the Saxons, and the Picts, and the all of them? Where'd they go? So this whole thing is Cletus. Yeah. Eric Blake, contrary to popular American belief, Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. It's not. It's actually the day Mexico prevented France from marching through Mexico to try and take Louisiana while we were fighting the Civil War. Yes, and this was the Napoleon's puppet, whose name escapes me for a second here, Maximilian, I want to say. Busted F. Nickel Swamp says that Thomas Sowell explained it perfectly. He did. Did I see that black girl that moved to Africa and then regretted her decision? I did see that too. She's moving back to Africa, moved to Africa, got into an apartment. There was no hot water. There were lizards in her bed everywhere, all the time. You couldn't buy anything. You couldn't do anything without bribing corrupt officials. The electricity was irregular. There was no internet or anything like that. None of that stuff was really happening. This American black woman who went to the whole back to Africa thing basically said, "I want to come back to America and all the racism. I can't deal with how dysfunctional Africa is." She says, "We ain't got no MFN food, we got no MFN snacks, we got no MFN electricity, we got no MFN air conditioning, we got no MFN hot water, we got no," yeah. Back she comes. So it's just got to stop. So anyway, all of this progressive divisive nonsense is, and by the way, the final thing about wokeism and progressivism is no nuclear power, no advancements, no space flight, no nothing. It's bad. Carbon is bad. You got to save Mother Earth. All of this other stuff, right? That's not Star Trek. It's not progress. It's not progress the way it's not progress. It's progressivism, which is regressivism. It's it's a vision of future mankind eating bugs and riding bicycles, and it's the antithesis of Star Trek. So, I think Astrasia, I think that they do not have a case, although it certainly on first glance looks like they might. Greyhound Player says, "Hey Bill, just want to let you know, been showing your Cold War series to my history class. They love it. We just finished We Like Ike." I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. I'm trying to think of where that puts it. My favorite episode is coming up, I think. I don't think you... I'm trying to remember the sequence, Greyhound Player. But my favorite episode in the Cold War is either next or one or two ahead, I'm sure. Might be the next one or the one after that. It's called Cloaks and Daggers. That one I love. And wait till your class hears about Project Azorian. That'll blow some minds. Project Azorian was where a team of black scientists raised a Russian nuclear submarine off the bottom of the Pacific, 16,000 feet deep. So, yeah, David Boutte says the fact that no movies have been made about Black Man and Robin is a damning indictment of Hollywood as any revelation about Weinstein. You'll get to that when you get into The Liberators, which is also down there. Thank you very much for all the kind words, Bob, and everybody else. So, my favorite is the one about the F-15 and the sniper. Yeah, that would the sniper would be Carlos Hathcock. Thank you. Physics Hypernova says, I need to watch your Cold War documentary. Your Apollo documentary was awesome. I'll have plenty of time soon now that the spring semester is ending and won't have to teach for the summer. Well, great. I hope you get a chance to see it. I'm very proud of the Cold War as well. And that was the magnum opus in terms of just sheer amount of work. Empire of Terror was 8 episodes. America's Forgotten Heroes, which is audio only, was 7, and Apollo 11, what we saw was 4. But the Cold War was 13, and I really needed 15. I just ran out of time and money and all the rest of that stuff. So, yeah. So thank you very much. It's good for me to, very, very good for me to hear that people are using that in classrooms. I can't understand why it's not in every homeschool curriculum in the country. That it's just, I'm very, very proud of it. I'm very, very pleased with the work that Daily Wire did on it, and I hate to see it buried, and it is buried. I've had people tell me that they'd been members of Daily Wire for 2 years and they had no idea that I'd done anything on Daily Wire, which is, that's a lot of work to have buried so deep on the website. You really, really have to go looking for it, but it's all there. All right, moving on. Roadrunner. Greetings, friend Bill. I had a great questions for you when I started this thread, but apparently left the site before actually saving, and now I can't remember what it was. So here's my emergency fallback question. Now that the Micro Story Mechanic shows have been posted, have you actually scheduled your next interview yet? I have not. I've still got at least 4 or 5 of them to edit, in addition to the Micro shows that I need to edit. I'm waiting for the website to be optimized for speed, and then we're going to give the whole sign-up thing a real solid thrashing, and make sure that it holds up. And thank you for the kind words, everybody, and Spaceman and all the rest of you. I've got some more Micro to go. I haven't talked to Gary about scheduling him next. That's who I would like to do next. I'd like to have Gary's already agreed to do it, and Gary is enthusiastic, and I think Gary would be a tremendous second guest. We got the gift for him, had it for a year now. We got Gary, the members got Gary, one member in particular actually, got Gary the exact same wheelchair that he used in Forrest Gump, including the sticker that says "America, my kind of place," and it's hard to find the exact same wheelchair because the front wheels have wire spokes, and all modern wheelchairs have plastic spokes. And excuse me, if it's not the exact same chair, I mean the exact same chair, it has to be the same model. I searched for that for a week. So. But we found it, and it's in the back room. So, yeah. And Mike Rowe, we got the golden wrenches. He was very pleased with that. So it's nice to be able to give something back to these people. So we'll see. Mike said, thank you. He put it on his shelf. It should be in all future episodes of Mike Rowe shows. He was very, very moved and very pleased, and the 3 golden wrenches were just terrific. So there's some more story mechanics to come out, and what we're really, it's kind of a holding pattern. I'm putting stuff on the shelf so that when I send people to to this membership drive, and they see the story mechanics thing, that there's stuff there. So, but I think Gary will be next. There's a lot of other people who are potential, people get on the spot if Gary's busy. I want a couple in there. I want Gary in there before I ask John Voight, because John was the only one who was a little iffy on the proposition, although he agreed to do it. Hi, guy on the phone. Howdy doody, Bill. Howdy doody to you too. So I'm looking forward to Tom Dreesen. I'm looking forward to. I haven't really gotten a formal approval from David Zucker, but I'm sure he would do it. And yeah, so there you go. All right, so we got an Eric Blake, we got a Marusha Dark, and was that the question that was snuck in there? Let me reload. Somebody said they snuck one in at the last minute. I don't want to miss it. Yes, Kirk's Bamboo Bazooka knows what Bill will say. What is the best sequel in cinematic history? Absolutely. I know you know. And it's not Terminator 2, although it's the same director. Let's see what I missed here. Oh, is it Rodney Rowe? Grok says it can evaluate your website and find out why it's slow. We've got somebody working on that right now, so there we go. It's Aliens, yeah. No, I think we got them all. 2 to go. Eric Blake, tonight the case of the Tinseltown tariff. So, Bill, have you heard the news of Trump's new push for a movie-oriented tariff? Here's a snapshot of his post. What are your thoughts? We talked about this briefly. Yeah, I saw this. We want movies made in America. 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. Okay. We don't watch a lot of foreign films in this country. I like them. I think I like them. I certainly like them better than the average Joe. And I can't stand dubbed movies. I just can't watch them. I don't mind reading a good movie with subtitles. There are some really terrific foreign films recently. The remake of All Quiet on the Western Front was really good. Really, really good. Let me see. There are a lot of films that the Koreans have been making some interesting movies. I generally like them. I mean, I think Das Boot is one of the best movies ever made. Really one of the best movies ever made, and one of my all-time favorites, although that movie is, 30, 40 years old now. I don't really know how you put a tariff on these things, Eric. I mean, what are you tariffing? Are you tariffing the production cost? Are you going to try and take 100% of each dollar made? I found this to be one of his weaker moves and a little distracting. I'm still on board. Needless to say, I'm on board the MAGA train, and will be till the day that it stops chugging, which I'm hoping will outlive me by quite a long time. But this kind of thing just seems to me to be a little. Let's just, at the very best place we put it, is to say it's a kind of a tweet for a slow news day, I think. I don't think it's going to affect much of anything. And yeah, he says the goal is to get things filmed here again. The price is not, the reason things aren't filmed here is, look, movies leave Hollywood and go to Georgia or they go to Canada, but they don't really, the the ownership of the project is what Hollywood is Hollywood is a financial and deal making capital. That's where the IP ownership lives. Hollywood will shoot a movie in New Mexico to get a tax break or whatever the case may be, or they'll shoot in Vancouver or whatever, where they can save some money. But he's talking about foreign films, and we're not. Foreign films have not taken over America's cinema the way that foreign manufacturers have taken over the car industry. So, you get the idea. Yeah, Conil again was really punching pretty well for a guy whose first comment tonight. Peter Jackson should have shot Lord of the Rings in Pennsylvania. Yeah, like, you want to put a tariff on Lord of the Rings? I mean, I understand he's talking about a lot of it being anti-American, but this is the part about it that I think really misses the mark. The most anti-American movies are not being made they're not being made overseas. The most anti-American movies are being made by Americans in Hollywood. It's not the manufacturing business. It's an ideological business, and the biggest enemies of America are over the hill in Hollywood. If you're saying we're trying to bring movie making back to Hollywood, that's where the problem is. Hollywood is Disney. Hollywood is Disney. It's Oh, Camille says first time Twitch member. He says I watched every episode for the last 10 years. LOL. My God, that's unbelievable. So I don't know, Eric. I just think it's kind of a rare swing and a miss for me. I just didn't. I'd not find myself standing up and cheering for that one. I just don't know how you would do it. Okay. And we got another Marusha Dark, which I'll do because I skip one of Marusha's every now and then when we have a busy day. So let's try this. Topic May the 4th, which would be yesterday. Happy belated Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. What do you make of the White House and the Army both posting Star Wars memes on their official Twitter pages? I saw Trump smack down a reporter for asking about the Pope Trump meme as well. Saw a Twitter reply that said, Poli-sci majors are going to have some really wild essay titles 100 years from now on the significance of the red-orange lightsaber in the Trump as Eagle Sith meme in the evolution of political commentary in the 21st century. Truly, this is the greatest timeline. Also, any plans to bring back the Starfleet outfit and Enterprise bridge backdrop for videos? I remember that you did that at least once. I did. The Enterprise bridge was CG. I wish I'd been on a practical bridge, but I had to CG myself into that. We tried draping a green cloth over a stool, which did not work. We tried to key myself into that. I got an Enterprise bridge from somebody, and then I animated the background lights because they weren't moving. I had to have those in motion. So I animated a bunch of the displays, and then we had to figure out how to key me into the set, and that meant we had to render the background and the chair, then key me into the chair, and then the front console had to be rendered separately so that it could appear in front of me. Had to go over my legs. So the navigation helm console was a separate render, and then it was all composited together. And we had a bear of a time doing it until, in fact, I was in costume, we were ready to go, and it just couldn't work. And then finally we got the problem solved because we had a tech guy there who was great. And he said, I might have said, what I need Kirk's chair. Because if I can get Kirk's chair right, then all the angles will match. And he said, I can make you one out of plywood. We'll paint it green. We'll paint it chroma key green if I just don't know what the dimensions are. So a 20-second Google search turned up the actual blueprints from Paramount that were used to build Kirk's chair. And he literally made it overnight, and it was the perfect dimensions. So once you had the angle on the chair, you could match the angle of the bridge to the chair, and then all of the rest of the angles would be correct. As far as the costume goes, there it is. The mannequin's suffering a little bit. He's dislocated shoulder, but. I'm still, oh, I don't know, easy, 7, 8 pounds, and probably more like 10 pounds away from being able to fit back into that again. So it's another reason to continue to exercise and lose some weight. But that is genuine gold velour, my boys and girls. That is the real deal. It's probably pretty badly stretched, that uniform, but no, that is the exact same color velour. The piping on the sleeves is perfect. It's a perfect replica. It's not just you know, a thing. It's perfect. And same for the pants. It's got the you can't really see them because it's so dark, but it's got the flared bottom of the pants where the boots go in. I got some black boots that look pretty close, but the actual Star Trek boots are pointed black boots. And how those guys ran across all of that terrain in leather-soled boots is amazing to me, but they sure enough did it. So there you go. Goes well with the rich Corinthian leather, says PGTM MR2, who's got a diagram of some kind of jet there, and I am determined to determine what that is. What is that jet? That is an F-14 Tomcat. That's what that is. Awesome, man. That's a great avatar. Okay, I think that's it. I've still got they're not really bell bottoms. They've got the person who made the replica pants. They've got an actual flare to them. It's hard to explain. It's like a cuff. It's like it's like a cuff on the end of a sleeve. It's not just that they're tucked in and then and bloused and then sort of pulled up. There's an actual rim with fabric that kind of comes down over them. So there you go. Busted Half Nickel Swamp says, breaking news, India has just agreed to do a 0-for-0 tariffs with the U.S. on steel and auto parts. Well, looks like we win again. Looks like free trade is going to happen. Tariffs are going to destroy free trade. No, tariffs are going to mean that we don't get boned all the time is what it means. It's going to promote free trade. Probably find an Enterprise bridge on the Unreal Store and rebuild the plywood chair. I could, yes. I'm sure I could find the bridge, get all that. I'd much rather go to a practical Enterprise set just because I really want to walk on one really badly. And I want to walk on one with a good haircut, not this mop. And I want to walk onto that bridge and I want to sit down in my chair. Kirk, your chair. It appears to be made out of rich Corinthian leather. It's coming through now, Con. That's one of my favorite lines. It's coming through now, Con. Prepare to receive our response or our reply, whatever the hell he says. It's just great. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up and get a show out the door here. So, it's a SETI Alpha in leather. But L42's got the con. I made Johnny Voight cry with laughter. We were at lunch with John Voight, and he had done Shatner's Raw Nerve, his interview show. I edited the first version of that, and then somebody else took over. Then I left for PJTV, so somebody else took it over and did another cut on it. By the way, there was a company that made Kirk's chair with all the little jelly bean lights and everything, and I think it was like, I don't know, $6,000. It was really, really, really expensive. But it was perfect. It was a just perfect replica, including the square base, so that would have been cool. But I was talking with, we were having lunch with John Voight, and we were talking about Bill Shatner, and I said, the thing about Shatner is that, you get your money's worth out of him. You could buy an $8 movie ticket and get $20 worth of acting out of Bill Shatner. And John just thought that was really, really funny. He's such an awful guy. But at the same time, he's the Shat. Did you see him at the Star Wars thing with a salute to George Lucas, and he comes out and the first words out of his mouth are Star Trek changed the world. And then he looks around and pulls out a paper and says Star Wars. And then he sings My Way to George Lucas. And Lucas is looking really uncomfortable, but Harrison Ford is just crying laughing. Yeah, I'm not a George Takei fan. Takei rhymes with toupee. That's a George Takei line. Not a fan of George much at all, actually. See, young wonders who got the captain's chair off of USS Enterprise CBN 65. I don't know, but somebody tells me that there was something from CBN, was it 6 or 8? 6, right? First Enterprise was CBN 6? Sounds right. And then I wish they'd saved the Enterprise, the CBN 6, not CBN, CB6. Yeah, I wish they'd saved CB6, and they scrapped that. But apparently there's parts of it that survived. I think somebody said a portal or two is going to be on board the new Enterprise. It was on CBN 65. Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm done. So this is made possible by the members at BillWhittle.com, who are just the most awesome people. We just love them so much and keep us going this whole time. And of course, our fabulous Strata crew, who are here twice a week and who have never failed to be not only kind and generous, but generous and kind as well. You have your choice of gods. You can have either Mork or Gork. What are they? The orc gods, Mork and... It's not Mindy. Mork and Gork? Mork and Orc? That's an inside baseball science fiction question for you. All right, anyway, thanks everybody. Not Mork and Mindy. We need some 40K person to stand up at the last minute and give me the answer to this. Hang on. They have two gods. Gork and Mork. Gork and Mork. And I'll show you Spike, yeah. Spike's a good boy. Spaceman Spike, he's awesome. He thinks the dishwasher is his space capsule. And he's a zero-G cat. He's always in zero-G. He's always just floating around up there. He's a cool dude. Gork and Mork, yes, exactly. Hey, Schmelvik. Or Schmelvik, sorry about that. Yeah. What's the line about Gork and Mork? Gork is like Mork only... anyway. 40K, man, is really fun. I miss my 40K days. I haven't been reading any 40K. That's it. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Schmelvik wins the internet. One is brutal and cunning, while the other is cunning and brutal. That's what I was looking for. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. It's a pleasure talking this pop culture awesomeness with all of you. And YouTube, we will see you on Thursday night for the Stratosphere Lounge. Thanks for being with us.